Episode 2 Secrets in Celluloid. Ray Morrison hadn't slept in 36 hours. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Elizabeth Short's mutilated face and heard Victoria's warning, "Someone you know, someone we both trusted." At dawn, Ray found himself at the Formosa Cafe, watching early shift workers heading to film studios. He'd called in sick, something he'd never done in 15 years with the LAPD, but he needed answers that wouldn't come through official channels. Victoria Sterling arrived at 7 a.m. wearing dark glasses and a headscarf, looking like every Hollywood starlet avoiding photographers. "You came," she said, sliding into the booth across from him. "I need to know what you weren't telling me." "All of it." Victoria ordered black coffee with shaking hands. "His name is Marcus Rothschild. He owns Rothschild Productions, has connections throughout the studio system. On the surface, he's everything Hollywood respects: money, power, influence. But underneath, he's a monster." "What kind of monster?" "He finds girls like Betty and me beautiful, desperate, willing to do anything for stardom. He promises them the world, gives them small parts, makes them feel special. Then he starts asking for favors." "What kind of favors?" "Private parties with studio executives, auditions in hotel rooms. When I refused to service one of his friends, he made sure I'd never work for a major studio again. That's when he found a different use for me." "Me? You'd been investigating studio financing irregularities, money laundering, possibly organized crime ties. Marcus needed someone inside the LAPD, so he arranged for us to meet at that Beverly Hills party." Ray remembered that night 2 years ago. Victoria had seemed to appear from nowhere, stunning and available, exactly when his marriage was falling apart. "Everything between us was a lie?" Victoria's hand moved across the table. "Not everything. I wasn't supposed to fall in love with you. That was never part of the plan." A shadow fell across their table. Danny Sullivan stood beside their booth, his usual smile replaced by something harder. Ray Morrison and the famous Victoria Sterling. Interesting breakfast companions. Ray felt ice in his veins. "Danny, what are you doing here?" "Looking for my partner, who called in sick but doesn't look sick." Danny's eyes moved between them. "Funny thing, I was going through old files yesterday. That studio financing case you worked on got shut down pretty quickly." Victoria stood abruptly. "I should go. Actually, Miss Sterling, I think you should stay. We need to talk about Elizabeth Short." Danny's smile never wavered. "I did some digging after Ray mentioned seeing you at the crime scene. Turns out you and Elizabeth were seen together quite a bit before her death. Some people might call that suspicious." Ray positioned himself between Danny and Victoria. "What's your point?" "My point is maybe we should bring Miss Sterling in for questioning. Unless she has something to tell us that might make that unnecessary." Victoria looked at Ray, fear and desperation in her expression. "There's something else about Elizabeth. She wasn't just another girl Marcus was using. She was carrying his child." "Are you certain?" "She told me herself, 2 weeks before she died. She was going to tell Marcus, demand that he leave his wife and marry her. She thought the pregnancy would force his hand." Danny laughed without humor. "A pregnant chorus girl, threatening a powerful producer? That's motive for murder." "Marcus didn't kill her," Victoria said desperately. "He was with me that night. All night. He was scared Elizabeth had been making threats about going to the newspapers. He needed an alibi, and I provided it. So if Rothschild didn't kill her, who did?" Before Victoria could answer, squealing tires sounded outside. A black sedan had pulled up, and 2 men in expensive suits were getting out. They moved with professional menace. "We need to go," Victoria said urgently. "Now." "Too late." The men entered, scanning until their eyes locked on Victoria. Ray reached for his weapon, but Danny grabbed his wrist. "I wouldn't do that, partner." Ray stared at his partner of 5 years, understanding flooding through him. "You're working for him. For Rothschild. I'm working for people who pay better than the LAPD. People who don't like their business being disrupted by curious detectives and chatty chorus girls." One suited man approached while the other blocked the exit. Miss Sterling, Mr. Rothschild would like to speak with you. There's been a development in the Elizabeth Short case, the man continued. New evidence has come to light that might implicate certain people. He pulled out a manila envelope, spreading photographs on the table, images of Victoria and Elizabeth in passionate embraces. It seems Miss Short and Miss Sterling were more than friends. A lover's quarrel gone wrong. Very tragic. Very believable. Victoria went white. Those are fake. Doctor, can you prove that? I think the newspapers will find them convincing. Hollywood starlet murders pregnant lover in jealous rage. What do you want? Ray asked. Simple. Miss Sterling comes with us for a private conversation. You go back to investigating and find evidence pointing to a random killer, someone already dead, preferably. Everyone gets what they want. Except Elizabeth Short. Miss Short was a problem that solved itself. The only question is whether you want to create new problems. Victoria stood, dignity intact despite circumstances. But as she moved toward the door, she stumbled, knocking over her coffee. In the confusion of cleaning the spilled liquid, she whispered in Ray's ear. Room 217, Hotel Alexandria. Elizabeth hid something there. Find it. Then she was gone, walking between the gunmen like a queen to execution. Danny lingered behind. You know, Ray, I always liked you. Good cop, honest, dedicated. But honest cops don't last long. When they ask wrong questions about right people. How long have you been working for them? Long enough to know Elizabeth Short died because she found out something she shouldn't have. Something that could destroy very powerful people. What did she find out? Danny smiled sadly. That's the million-dollar question. And now it's your job to make sure it stays buried with her. He walked toward the door, then paused. Oh, and Ray? Victoria Sterling had an accident this morning. Very tragic. I'm sure you understand that investigating it too closely would be inadvisable. Ray sat alone, staring at coffee-stained photographs, knowing he was completely alone in a city full of enemies. Victoria was dead or soon would be. Danny was corrupted deeper than he'd imagined. And somewhere the real killer was watching. But Victoria had left him one last gift, a clue that might lead to truth about Elizabeth Short's death. Room 217 at the Hotel Alexandria. Whatever Elizabeth had hidden there was worth killing for. And now Ray was the only one left alive who knew about it. To be continued in Episode 3, Blood and Shadows. Authors note this story is inspired by the real Black Dahlia murder case of 1947. One of Los Angeles' most famous unsolved crimes. While based on actual events, the characters and relationships depicted are fictional interpretations created for dramatic purposes.